Hannah Davis, when did you first come to Glenelg Surf Lifesaving Club?
Look, I was born in '85, and that's when Mum and Dad first moved to Glenelg, and I had two older brothers, Matt and Sam. So they, being a couple of years older than me, started nippers sort of when they were, 5 and 6, and I started to go along as the 3 and the 4-year-old. And Mum and Dad couldn't keep me out of the water, so I started in I think it's under 6s. It's all a bit different now, but I think I was in the under 6 age group for 2 years before I was actually 6. So yeah, started very early, and I was very passionate about the water from the get-go. So I think Mum and Dad were quite relieved that they could get me going, so they didn't have to try and keep me under wraps.
What's your favourite memory of the club?
It's definitely those. Look, there's so many, but definitely those days as a teenager and a kid that felt like summer never ended. It's like the endless summer. You'd be down there every weekend with your mates. You'd be on the beach and in the water all afternoon, and then there'd just be this gang of us that would get around after nippers had finished, and we'd all been dragged to march past training, which we didn't necessarily want to do, but we did it. And then we thought we were running wild. Back in the 80s and 90s, there was the sideshow alley there and Magic Mountain. So if we weren't running a mark in Magic Mountain, we were in the sideshow alley. And all along, we thought we were, free from our parents, but in reality, we had probably, 50 odd parents all keeping an eye on us. So, those memories are still so vivid. And yeah, just still sort of stick with me today. And making those lifelong friendships that I've been able to hold on to has been a really special part of that.
Similar to us, I've got a 12-year-old and a 9-year-old, and we sit on the balcony after nippers and watch them run around the lawn and play British Bulldog. And they're not allowed to go past the lawn area. They inevitably do go up to the playground or onto the beach. But I think in that regard, you're right. There's always, it takes a village to raise a family. We've always got an eye out for all the kids.
That's right. And if something did happen to, go a little bit wrong, or there was ever any worry, it wasn't just the parents that were there looking out for us, but the other clubbies, the senior athletes or the boaties. You always knew you could call on a boatie and they'd come and stick up for you if some other kid was picking on you in the sideshow alley. So, knowing that was really comforting.
Yeah, no, it's great. It's fantastic. Great community club. So, Hannah, what does the club mean to you?
Look, the club, for me, it's another home. It's a safe space. It's an inclusive space. It's somewhere that, I've lived in Sydney for nearly a decade now, but whenever I come back to Adelaide, I can go to the club knowing I'm welcomed. I can have a great chat. There's familiar faces. And really, it's somewhere that, I think it's another family, and it's really remarkable in that regard. I've not come across that type of community anywhere else. And I'm involved in several different sort of communities and sports and that sort of thing. But that community around the surf club it's really precious, and it's quite sacred in a sense.
Well put. Yeah, absolutely. In that regard, there's so many different tenets to being part of a club, not just the performance side of it, the community, family side, and feeling emotionally connected to something. I totally agree with you there.
Yeah, definitely.
Hannah, what would you like to see for the club in the future?
Look, I just think Glenelg does it so well already. There's an awesome competitive section, whether you want to compete in the lifesaving or the skis or the boats or ducks, march past. We've had some great successes there in the past. So there is something there for everyone in terms of being active and healthy and outgoing. There's the social side of it. There's the community, family side of it we spoke about. And then, of course, the bar's looking pretty good these days, and the restaurant, turns on a great meal. So I just feel like the club is doing it so well already that if they can just hold on to that and hold on to those core values, then there's not much more I think they really need to be striving for or doing. And I just wish them the best for that for years and decades to come. And, if I ever end up back in Adelaide one day, I hope it's a place that I could take my children and they feel just as passionate about it as I do. So look, I think it's a really strong pillar of the wider Holdfast Bay community. It's well regarded. So look, I think they're just nailing it as it is.
Fantastic. More of what we've got, I guess, is
more of what we've got.
Yeah.
You know, and you want the club to prosper financially and all of those things, so that it's got that security moving forward, and we can, you know, always be updating our life-saving equipment and our competitors' equipment and the gym and services like that, and enabling more opportunities. So of course, you know, the finance side of stuff is always important, but I think at the core of it is the values are strong. The club will continue to prosper.
Can I ask you what you did as far as the competing side of it, the performance side, both in the club and leaving the club subsequent to that? So what was your sort of path through lifesaving?
Yeah, for sure. I was an extremely passionate competitor from the get-go, chasing my brothers around. Loved training. I loved the camaraderie that we had down there with all the squads, and I lived to race. So I was pretty competitive from the start. Surf lifesaving was my first passion, racing the swims, the boards, and the Iron Women mostly. Wasn't too good on my feet, so I gave the beach events a miss, unless I was, you know, got the call up for a beach relay here and there. But managed to get myself on some junior state teams, and then carried on through into seniors, onto senior state teams. Raced at the Aussies several times for Glenelg, being a finalist on multiple occasions, mostly in the surf skis. Couple of highlights there were racing, you know, mixed doubles as I think a 16-year-old maybe, with Nat Goal one year, and then Tony Dalton a couple of years after that, and making finals with them. So these were, you know, senior ski paddlers in the club that I totally admired and looked up to, and to make Aussie finals with them was really something quite exciting. You know, up in the big surf in Kurrawa, it was a stark contrast from that of the bay at Glenelg, but I just loved it. And then my passion for sort of paddling and the surf ski translated over into the flatwater kayak. So then I started pursuing sprint kayaking, sort of with an equal vigor, and ended up racing for Australia in the kayaking, and made my way to 2 Olympic Games. So I really put down that success to the surf club. I mean, the support I received, the lessons I learned about being resilient and a team player and staying humble. You know, there was never much room for egos at the surf club. You were quickly reminded of what was important. And those lessons and values held me in really good stead then for my sort of successes in the kayak. So feel very grateful for the club and the support in that regard. And, you know, coming home from especially that first Olympic Games, the first place I went with my medal was to the surf club, because I wanted to share that success with everyone. So we had quite the party. And yeah, so it is, you know, that when I say the club's like another home and a family to me, it really is. And it's been such a huge part of my life that's sort of rolled over into many different aspects. And so then when I moved to New South Wales, it was really hard, because I wanted to stay loyal to the surf club, but I was also embarking on a new journey here in Sydney. So I think for a couple of seasons I kept a membership with Glenelg, and then I started racing for one of the clubs over here. And then in more recent years I've moved on, and I've got a little baby of my own, so I'm not competing as much at the moment. But, you know, the bay is where it's at, and that's where my allegiance will always be.
Good on you. Which club did you go to race there? I
raced for North Bondi for a couple of years. So people that I'd met sort of on the Aussie surf scene and the kayaking scene, they had a big presence at North Bondi for being ski paddlers. So naturally that was a good choice for me when I came here. So I did a couple of seasons with them. And now I'm a member at Maroubra, but I'm not really active at the moment. Got my hands a bit full for now. But, you know, my little boy Archie's pretty passionate about the water as well, and about to turn 1. So, you know, if we're still in Maroubra when he's old enough, then he'll be down there as a nipper. And I'm excited for him. He'll grow up at a beach that's got quite big surf, and also a really big history as well behind the club here in Maroubra, one of the first ones over here in New South Wales. So, you know, my nieces and nephew are there now too, and I know they all find it as rewarding as I did as a kid down in the bay. So he'll wear 2 hats. He'll wear his green and gold under the red and blue.
Fantastic. My wife worked at the Maroubra Seals Club behind the bar in them days. She's a Coogee girl. I lived in Sydney 15 years. We met over there. So
awesome.
And no doubt you'd know Charlie Verco and Jamie Verco from the North Bondi Club, friends of ours. Yeah.
Oh, great. Yeah. The world of surf lifesaving, right? There's so many interconnected networks there. It's awesome.
Absolutely.
And that's the beauty of it, right? You can move and relocate and you can just rock up to a surf club and say, look, I'm a clubbie. And you'll either know people already or people will know people that you know.
Yeah.
And it's just this national community then that you're forever a part of.
You're so right. I had a meeting with someone over from Sydney. I didn't know him before, but we both worked out we're clubbies. He's at North Bondi as well. And we spent the whole first 15 minutes just talking about clubland and IRB racing and all sorts of stuff. It's a real
such a great way to breaking down some, barriers. If you're starting new jobs and you discover someone in the senior leadership team's a clubbie, it just brings that more human approach to sort of the workplace or getting to know people as well. So it's, I think I even managed to befriend a landlord over here in Sydney, which is almost impossible. They haven't got the best rep. Because he was a clubbie, so we connected and he surfed and I surfed and suddenly, the repairs we needed got done a lot quicker than what's the typical experience here in Sydney for a lot of renters. So
yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
No,
play that card when you can.
It's a solid community and a lot in common, so a lot of great values that you all share. We all share.
Yeah.
Hey, before we go, anything else you want to add about Glenelg? We've covered a lot of area, but any parting words on the 90th anniversary of Glenelg Surf Lifesaving Club?
Look, just obviously a happy 90th to the surf club. What a legacy and a history to be proud of. I think I've captured a lot of it, but look, I'm really proud to be a Glenelg clubbie. I'm proud to wear that. I've got the same Glenelg cap there that you're sporting. Got the sticker on my car still. And, it's just something that I'll cherish forever. And, good on everyone down there. And to those that sort of have gone before us and led the way and opened up the pathways to make it all possible, I think, especially those early days, we owe a lot to those generations. And also, as a female in sport, to the women that came before me and fought for that equal access and inclusiveness. And I think if there's one thing we can do better is just ensuring we're always considering, all demographics of the local community and how we might be able to better include everyone and anyone, regardless of race or religion or sexuality or gender, and all of that. So on that note, I think, look, Glenelg Surf Club has got what it takes to be able to do all of that and more. So here's to the next 90.
Fantastic. Well said, Hannah, and thank you for being part of the celebrations today.